Hi, welcome back to another edition of Inside Great Lakes Sailing. My name is Greg Norman, your host. We're going to do an abbreviated show. We've had a chance to talk to Tim Prophit, who was the overall winner of the Veilleux's 99th running of the Port Huron to Mackinac race. We talked to him from Chicago. He left the island, and we had a bit poor reception. So we put up the poster of their winning championship on the podium. And we're going to talk to Tim a little bit about the race and hopefully the race for him that happens with Chicago starting on Saturday. We also talked to Sam Veilleux, who is the chairman for the Chicago Yacht Club's race that starts this weekend. Cruisers get off tomorrow, and the big boys get off on Saturday. They'll be up at the island later on the weekend. So we're going to talk a little bit about the Chicago to Mac race and take care of that. In the next couple of weeks, we'll catch up with some of the racers that were part of the Veilleux race as well as the Chicago race. We want to get some information out on Tim's big victory, and I think it was a well-fought victory, certainly, and it was kind of fun to watch him win the race. He's certainly deserving, and a lot of people pulling for Mr. Prophit. So stay tuned. We'll talk with Sam in just a second.
Welcome back. We're talking with Sam Veilleux, who is the current chairman, second-year chairman of the Chicago Yacht Club's Chicago to Mackinac race. We're going to kind of follow up on the finished Veilleux race, which just happened over here this last weekend. So first of all, thanks for taking a couple seconds out. I know it's Wednesday before your race, which comes on Saturday. You're absolutely crowded and busy and all the rest of it, but talk to us a little bit. You got about 240 some odd boats.
Yep, we're currently 244 boats across the cruising division, the racing division, and the small double-handed division. With the cruising boats will be starting on Friday afternoon, and the remainder of the racing boats starting on Saturday. And in that boats, we have about just under 2,100 sailors in total.
That's about where we were before. That's before the COVID. That was about where you guys were, right? Maybe a little.
That's about where we were. So we've actually built it up from last year. We'd like to continue building that back towards 300, but I think this is great coming out of COVID. So.
And talking with Kevin Thomas on the Veilleux race, they were back. They were about 80% back. So at least we're moving in that direction with the island opened. I think you guys are looking forward to a good race. Obviously, there are a lot of boats coming back to Chicago. So just briefly, the last couple of days before the race, what's your biggest job?
At this point, due to the hard work of the committee, which is about 20 members of the Chicago Yacht Club, we start in September working on next year's race. So due to the hard work of the committee, most of our things are buttoned up, and the race at this point is, for the most part, in the hands of the race committee and the Chicago Yacht Club staff, who will be putting on, and our vendors that are putting on the social events for us. I will be racing. Yes, I will be racing on Dakota, which is the Beneteau 47.7 in the cruising division, leaving Friday afternoon.
Okay. You raced on that last year. I think we were very successful, if not mistaken.
Yeah, this will be my third year with them, and last year we were the winner in Cruising 1.
Okay, just for the uneducated, you guys start cruisers on Friday and racers on Saturday. Explain why.
We start the cruisers on Friday because for the most part, the cruising boats are slower. Most of the cruising boats are slower than most of the racing boats. They have some sail limitations, so you have to, for example, the cruising boats can only sail with asymmetric spinnakers with a certain tack length and other sail limits, roller furring, head sails, things like that. So because of that, we do that to give them a chance to make it to the island in a reasonable amount of time by giving them that 18-hour or so head start.
If I'm not mistaken, last year the overall winner, but the guy crossed the line first caught some weather early and got there before everybody else, if I'm not mistaken.
Last year was a very fast race for the entire fleet, including the cruising division. I believe that we were the second, on Dakota were the second boat to the island, right behind Whitehawk, and we beat the fastest racing boats, which were the TP52s there, to the island. Yeah. It's amazing to pull into the harbor with nobody there.
I'm sure it's a first.
Yeah, we were actually in front. We had a tailwind almost the entire way, and we stayed in front of most of the weather. The slower cruising boats and the entire racing fleet all ended up in some pretty nasty weather last year.
You guys have a 2-year window for chairman. That's a little unusual. Most places have a 1-year window. Is there any particular reason why?
No, I mean, that's kind of the way we've been historically doing it for the past, but it's good because it gives you time to have some transition time, learn how things were done from the past chairman with some time on the committee, and then have some time to bring your vice chairman into the fray and get them ready to have the event in the following year.
Okay. And there's a charitable aspect this year to your race. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. We have partnered with the Chicago Yacht Club Foundation with a program called the Mac Gives Back. We are helping to support some of the activities aboard the Inland Seas, which is a tall ship out of Sutton's Bay. We do Chicago Yacht Club Foundation does several programs on that. One called Leadership, where we sponsor young women on multi-day trips aboard the Inland Seas, as well as the ship has spent the last week in Chicago here doing youth programming for youth from the Boys and Girls Clubs and other programs across the city.
You had a chance to go on that boat with your daughters, is what you were saying earlier. Is it pretty amazing boat?
Yeah, it's amazing, and it was great to learn about the programming that they do for youth and adults around the Great Lakes, and to meet some of the crew members aboard that boat as well.
They'll be in Detroit in August. We did a feature on them about 6 weeks ago, and we're looking forward to be on the boat with them. And we have a young lady from Crescent, Audrey Whitaker, who I believe you met. And Audrey's an intern on the boat this year, and a terrific young lady. But it's a really, really cool program, especially spreading the world of understanding of ecology and how the resources that we have. Obviously, the lake I'm looking at behind me, and all the great, obviously lakefront you have there in Chicago. So it's really a great program.
Yep, absolutely.
Last thing, you guys take off on Friday. The race is essentially done. Talk a little bit about the party on Saturday. Is there a competition? This is off the record question, but a competition between parties between Bayview and Chicago? It's measuring stick?
With regards to the party or with regards to the race?
No, with regards to the party.
No, I mean, we're trying to just make a great experience for all of the racers and all their friends and family that come up to the island to support them. So the party will be next Tuesday. We're hoping that most of the racers will be arriving Sunday night into Monday based on the recent weather modeling that we've looked at. We have the Island Awards ceremony on Tuesday afternoon. This will be our second year hosting it at Mission Point Resort. We're pleased to be, that was a change for last year. We're pleased to be coming back. They did a great job for us last year, and everybody I talked to had a great time. So glad to be back at Mission Point for the awards on Tuesday.
And talk briefly about the weather model that you've been looking at. Hoping for a good race?
It looks like it's going to be a little slower, certainly slower than last year. It looks like it's going to be kind of a medium slow race. We're expecting, at least for the boat I'll be racing on, the cruising division, we may be starting out into an upwind on Friday, turning into a sea breeze, and then perhaps, into Sunday, turning into some kind of southwesterly. So it's still starting to come together. We're still a few days out. But we are definitely going to be packing dinner for Sunday night. So
when you finally cross the finish line, then there's kind of a relief now that I can race and I don't have any more chairman's hat on?
Absolutely. I've still got a few things to do. I've got to have some meetings with the race committee and the judges tomorrow. And then tomorrow evening, we've got our warning gun party, which is our VIP party for our competitors, our club members and sponsors. I'm going to speak at the skippers meeting for the cruising division on Friday morning, and then I am going to get ready to go sailing. So at that, it's out of my hands. So
listen, I really appreciate the time you've taken and give us a little information. Hopefully everybody's a great race, and we'll catch up next week with hopefully some of the winners, and maybe we can catch up with you a little on the post-race conversation. So thanks again very much.
Yeah, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
We want to thank Sam talking a little bit about the Chicago race, and we'll check in with some of the winners next week. Up next is Tim Prophit talking to us from Chicago. They just landed. It's late Thursday afternoon, so they just landed. We got a chance to talk to him for a couple of minutes, and we'll be back with that in just a second. Welcome back. We're talking with Tim Prophit, who is the former Bayview Commodore who just won the overall 99th race from Port Huron to Mackinac. Tim, just first of all, congratulations. It's got to be a terrific victory. And 30 years later, after your last close victory, it's got to be a pretty good feeling.
Oh, it's really a thrill, Greg. We don't really plan for the overall. We just focus on winning our class and letting the overall fall where it falls. Some years it's a fast boat race, some years it's a slow boat race, and this year favored the slower boats. And the reason I say that, I was talking to one of us on Veilleux. As you know, it's a fast start, and they got up the track pretty quickly, and they got around Cove, turned left, and found themselves parked for 6 hours. So they're doing nothing, and we're still flying up the course. So that allowed us, us and the other slower boats to correct over the bigger, faster boats. But I'll take it.
No, victory's a victory. It's certainly terrific. Now, you had a bit of a kind of a, I don't know, something broke about 2 a.m. We heard about that, and talk a little bit about your what happened.
Yeah, I was off watch and sound asleep, and I sleep like the dead when I'm asleep. So I didn't hear about it till the next morning. But so there's a staysail that that's a roller furler, so it's got swivels on the top and the bottom. There's a little latch in the top that the halyard connects to. That latching decided to depart, and the sail ended up in the drink, but still connected to the boat by the bottom of the bottom shackle roller furler attachment and by the sheet. So they got it out of the water quickly. The halyard skied, and so they quickly hoisted up our bow person, Dr. Kellen McGee, and she went up and retrieved the halyard. They put a new lashing on it, and it was good to go.
Tim, you spent a lot of time in the off-season, springtime, wintertime. We kept seeing pictures of all the work you did on your boat. Was any of that a relationship to the victory, or was it just because you wanted to work on that 40-year-old North American?
Well, it's both, Greg. I mean, it's this boat's going to be 45 years old in September, and I had some deferred engine maintenance I wanted to do. I mean, the thing was just an oily grease ball. And then part of the cabin top had some wet core in it. So I also recored the entire starboard side of the cabin top. And also my old batteries were cooked. I needed new batteries. So I decided to go with lithium ion batteries for my house bank. And I'll tell you what, the focus for all the work became eliminate distractions. We made it to this race. We never charged batteries. And I anticipate getting through the Chicago Mackinac race without having to charge batteries, and hopefully to the Trans-Superior race without having to charge batteries. And it's a big distraction that goes away. Then the motor, real long story short, I screwed up. We did all this work to the motor. We fired it up and then spun a bearing, which was all my fault. So we ended up pulling the motor out, rebuilding it, and I cleaned, polished, painted, whatever. The thing looks like a combination of a steampunk Mad Max engine now. It looks really cool. The mechanic who did all the work that I didn't do, Paul Lee, has opined that this is the best running Perkins 4108 in the history of human endeavor. So, and it's run great so far. I just brought the boat down to Chicago from Mackinac with 0 problems.
How many Macs have you done?
I just completed my 41st Veilleux, Port Huron to Mackinac. I'm about to start my 28th Chicago to Mackinac.
All right. Talk briefly about your crew, because you can't win a race like that without having a heck of a crew.
No, I've got just a phenomenal crew. I mean, this year, they're always good, but this year there was just another level of focus and intensity. We were on boat speed focus, gear shifting focus constantly. Our Mackinac crew this year was myself, Art Lavasser, and he and I have been sailing Mackinac races together for, I think, since 1987. He likes to point out that the Fast Tango has had, he's been on the boat, which is true. So he's a very integral part of the crew. Dave Simon is also part of the crew. Brad Everingham, Molly Radke, Dr. Kellen McGee, Grant Moore from Port Huron, the Paschke brothers, David and R.C. Paschke, and I'm missing one. Oh, me. So yeah, that was our crew.
There's got to be a couple of hundred Macs in that experience in that group. Is that fair?
Yeah, we didn't do the math this year, but usually if you add up between combined Chicago and Baby Mackinac, we're over 300. And the Paskey brothers and Molly Radke grew up sailing together. They had IOR style boats, and so the three of them just know these boats. Grant Moore is just a really good younger sailor. He's out of Port Huron. He sails on a lot of different boats, wins a lot of stuff. Kellen has been racing a little less longer than us, basically she's younger than us. But she literally flew to Detroit from Hawaii, having completed the Transpac and second in their class. And she's really stepped up her game, and of course she's the one that went up the mast in 20 knots of breeze. So she's pretty fearless too.
Last question. You obviously take off Saturday morning, or are you part of the cruising? You're part of the racing group on Saturday, not the cruising group on Friday. Am I correct?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
Yeah. We start, I think, at 11:30 Chicago time. And we've got 5 people from last week. 5 people are out or swapped out. So new this week are Min Ha, Joe Curta, Lee Savage, Bob Duker. I got one more. Maybe it's only 4.
Okay.
Oh, Peter Windsor. Peter Windsor is the 5th. So, yeah, so those 5 are new, and those are all superb, excellent sailors. Peter and I have sailed a lot of Mackinac races together over the years. We've won a lot. We won the Chicago Mackinac overall in 2011, and I've had a couple of second and third overall since then. But Peter was with us when we last won, as was Dave Simon, as was Art, as was Brad. So a lot of the 2011 crew are with us again this year.
Last question. Does it give you confidence coming into this week, obviously Saturday, to win? Do you have more confidence when you win a race like that to come back the next week for the Chicago race?
Maybe, but it's not something I dwell on. I mean, literally, I was in, Bayview's history. I got to get ready for Chicago. When the Endless Summer Band finished Fighting Right to Party by the Beastie Boys from out their set, I walked out into the boat and went to this guy's feeling headed here. So, I mean, yeah, it's always good to come off a successful finish. The race before had nothing to do with this race, and everyone. I mean, I've been on the phone, doing final logistics, looking at weather forecast, deciding if we're going to swap out any sails, yada yada yada. So I'm in full focus for the Chicago Mackinac race, and the really really good news is Baby has her awards there in September, so I get to enjoy this all over again when I'm not in full on prep mode for the next race.
Okay. Well, good. Well, listen, I appreciate your time. Good luck this week. I will hopefully see you in Sault Ste. Marie, because I think I'm going to end up doing the Trans Superior with Keith Stauber. So,
excellent.
Yeah,
Excellent. Well, I've never done the Trans Superior. I've never even sailed in Lake Superior, but 2 of our crew in that race are John Walton, who's done it a number of times. I think he's won it single-handedly.
Yes.
So John Walton gets his own watch system. He's going to single-hand the boat for 4 hours while the rest of us sleep. Okay. Not really, but it's kind of a funny idea. And then Kellum has done it once with Chuck Bio and Arctos. So we've got a little bit of, previous Trans Superior knowledge, but we're going to do what we do. We're going to focus on gear shifting and boat speed and hope we can just put the boat in the right spot at the right time.
Tim, there's not many wins that it's just really cool that you won. I think there's a lot of people in your corner, a lot of people rooting for you. And it was just fun to watch the race on Yellow Brick. And when the overall came out, a lot of folks were cheering for you. So thanks for your time. Well, have a great Chicago race.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate the interest.
For all the winners of the Bayview race, we want to wish them a hearty congratulations. And the Chicago race coming up this weekend, we wish good weather, and we want to thank Sam Veilleux and Tim Prophit for talking to us a little bit about this past weekend and the upcoming race. And we'll be back with a little more lengthy show. We got caught in the short term with getting a couple of interviews, but we'll get caught up next week. So for all the guys in back, we thank you for watching. My name is Greg Norman.